I know it's dark, I know it's bedtime, but does something feel kind of strange with this photo? Alright, so this picture was taken by Bonnie Mathis. She was a backpacker who was staying in the White Rose Hostel in Germany in 2014. She took this photo outside of her room to send to her boyfriend after she was repeatedly hearing noises from the hallways, having not even realized what it was she caught. Before we jump in, I have got to say thank you to you guys for listening to my podcast, Creep Time the Podcast. You made us the 18th top true crime podcast in the entire country. That's a big deal. Thank you for listening, and if you haven't already, please go click the link in my bio. Now, don't forget, Bonnie was backpacking alone through this, and she stopped contacting her family. Eventually, that brings German police back to the hostel where she was last seen. Reporting I saw, she was found to be partially eaten, but it didn't make sense because her bedroom door was still locked from the inside. Then they found this photo, finding this. Someone had been watching her from inside the walls. I tried to enhance the picture, but no one knows who this was.
We're back with yet again another creepy solo listing. This time we're in the state of Washington and we have this building for almost $1 million. Here is the surrounding area. Already questionable, but let's go on. One of the bathrooms. Not really sure what this space is. It kind of looks like it's in a big elevator. Okay, lots of storage space. It's always with the creepy hatch doors. Let's go. I don't like it. Seems like a lovely place to have a conversation or an interrogation. In the description, it explains that this is a decommissioned radar tower that was supposed to be used by the Air Force and that it was designed to withstand a nuclear blast within a 1-mile radius. So it could be yours for $950K.
I have a creepy story time. I can actually tag her this time. Her name is Stacy. So Stacy took care of her mom for 2 years after she was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. Her mom ended up moving into her home, and one night Stacy had a dream that her mom came to her and said, "Stacy, I am okay." Stacy woke up and thought that the whole dream was weird, being that in the dream her mom was wearing a hospital gown when the whole time her mom was staying at her house, she would be wearing sweatpants because she was always cold. She went and checked up on her mom and her mom was perfectly fine. Now fast forward to the day that her mom passed away, which was November 23rd of 2009. Stacy went to bed and woke up to her mom by her side saying, "Stacy, I am freezing." Stacy wakes up and the first thing that goes through her mind is, oh my god, my mom is at a funeral home right now and she's in a hospital gown, being that she passed away in hospice. She's telling me that she's freezing. Stacy almost drove to the funeral home to make sure her mom was wearing sweatpants, but decided not to, being that it was 2 a.m. and the funeral home was closed. Previously to her mom passing away, Stacy has spoken to her mom and told her that when she passes, to make sure that she hears a specific song to let her know that her mom was okay. Months later, Stacy's at a gas station pumping gas when out of nowhere she hears her mom's voice say, "Stacy, are you listening?" When Stacy stops to listen, she hears the song that her mom and her had agreed on to let her know that her mom was okay. And it was Bad Bad Leroy Brown. Stacy goes, "Well, it's about damn time."
These are the most evil people on Earth, Part 1. Number 1 on our list, David Berkowitz. David Berkowitz, otherwise known as the Son of Sam, was a serial killer who terrorized the area of New York City from about July of 1976 to July of 1977. He started his killing spree in 1975 when he stabbed 2 women with a hunting knife, but 2 years later, after his neighbor's dog supposedly told him to go out and start killing people, he grabbed a .44 caliber bulldog revolver and shot 6 people dead and injured 7. After these killings, Berkowitz continued to write very taunting letters to the press and the police, promising that until they caught him, he was going to continue to kill more people. But finally, on August 10th, 1977, police would move on to search Berkowitz's car, where they would find a duffel bag full of ammunition, a map of his crime scenes, a rifle, and an unsent letter from the Son of Sam to the police. And when Berkowitz was arrested, he told the police, "Well, you got me. What took you so long?"
What do you do if you're walking down the street and you happen to come across the Hat Man? In case you forgot what he looks like, this is a quick little reminder. And of course, story time. The person who submitted this wants to be anonymous. Let's call her Lisa. So Lisa is originally from right down here. I don't want to say the name because I don't want to butcher it. It's an indigenous reserve. One summer night, her and her friends were walking down the road called Forgotten Street. When you get to the end of this road and you go to turn, there are no street lights, so everything's completely pitch black. So as they're walking down this road, they're laughing, they're talking, they're having a great time, when out of nowhere, one of the girls just suddenly stops. So Lisa kind of pokes her in the back and says, "Are you okay?" And the girl just points out into the distance and says, "Don't you see that?" When the girls look over in that direction, they see an unusual, tall, skinny man with a trench coat and a top black hat. All four girls stand there in shock, not really knowing how to react, when one of them breaks the silence and says, "So who is it for?" Because according to what they've always been told, whenever a top hat man shows up, it's for someone specific. Now this top hat man wasn't touching the ground at all. Like, his feet were about 4 inches off the ground. He was practically levitating. Lisa decides to stay behind while the other 3 girls go up to him, and they get so close to him that they can actually put their feet right under where he's levitating, and there's literally nothing there. Lisa states that after this incident, all 3 girls that went up to him and were like messing with him all live horrible lives. All 3 of them suffer from addiction and even worse. She believes that running into him is a bad omen, especially if you go up to him and start like trying to interact with him. She believes the reason why she was saved was because she stayed like 100 feet back. So if you ever run across him on a dark road, go the other way.
So, who answered the phone? This is the call.
A young guy wrote, "Last night, a friend rushed me out of the house to catch an opening act at a local bar's music night. After a few drinks, I realized my phone wasn't in my pocket. I checked the table we were sitting at, the bar, the bathrooms.
Couldn't find it anywhere.
So I used my friend's phone to call mine. After 2 rings, someone answered. I heard on the other end a low, raspy giggle.
And then hung up.
I called again, but they didn't answer, and I eventually gave it up as a lost cause. Later that night, I headed home and saw it. I found my phone on my nightstand, right where I left it."
So who answered the phone? Who is the giggler? Ever experienced anything creepy like this?
These are videos humans were never meant to see, part 25.
Okay, so majority of people on Earth do not like spiders, which makes perfect sense because they're extremely creepy. But the video I'm about to show you shows a spider in somebody's house, laying hundreds of babies on the floor, and you can see them all crawl around. Imagine you're in your room at night and this happens to you.
This is why I don't stay at creepy cabins. In 2018, a man trying to escape city life was staying in a cabin in the mountains. One morning, he stepped outside. He discovered a red ball resting in his front yard. At first, he thought nothing of it, imagining that his neighbor's children must be tossing it over the fence. He kicked the ball back, went inside, and tried to resume his daily routine. But when night fell, he was awoken by the sound of children laughing outside his window. Determined to investigate, he rushed out of his house only to find that there were no children anywhere in sight. Yet the red ball was back on his property. Confused, he brought it inside his house and tried to sleep. The following day, he went over to his neighbor's house to complain about the kids, but he discovered that his neighbor was an old man living alone and there were no children in the area. That night, the man awoke once again to the sound of children playing on his property. He peered out the window, but there were no children to be seen, only the red ball resting on the ground. He ran downstairs to check on the ball he had brought inside, but it had vanished without a trace. Suddenly, he felt a chill run down his spine as he spotted a strange, stiff figure watching him from afar. The next day, the man left the cabin, never knowing who or what was outside. Follow because my next story is crazy.
Here are my top horror movies based on true stories. Number 1, we're gonna go with the classic, The Strangers. 3 dangerous intruders break into a couple's vacation home and start to torture them. The director stated that he was inspired by the Manson murders and home invasions that happened in his neighborhood when he was a child. Number 2, we have Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds. a film where a bunch of birds start to get really violent. So this film was inspired by a real-life event that happened in Capitola, California in 1961, where a bunch of birds just started to nosedive right straight into people. However, this happened because the birds had ingested toxic algae. And last but not least, and the most horrifying of them all, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I don't know if I need to explain it because I know a lot of people have seen this movie, but it's about this horrifying murderer that swings a chainsaw around and likes to wear people's faces as a mask. And once he captures them, he likes to skin them and do stuff with their skin. So it's pretty bad. And this movie, of course, is inspired by Ed Gein, a terrifying serial killer that would skin his victims and make stuff out of their skin.
What is the Denver airport hiding? Beneath the gloom of the Denver airport, something sinister awaits. Its vast, soulless halls echo with whispers of a dark conspiracy, veiled by the chilling gaze of the monstrous blue horse, Lucifer. The twisted runways form a swastika, a malignant symbol etched into the earth as if conjuring the very essence of malevolence. They say the airport's birth was shrouded in secrecy, delayed 2 harrowing years and costing an extra $2 billion. A shadowy cabal orchestrated the chaos, hiring and firing contractors to keep the airport's true design hidden from prying eyes. The enigmatic structure conceals unfathomable depths, with 6 subterranean layers and 5 forsaken buildings lurking beneath. These cryptic chambers, heavily guarded by unseen forces, harbor secrets that remain locked away. Among the cold, lifeless walls lies a cryptic message etched into a plaque, the New World Airport Commission. Yet it's as if the organization was birthed from the void, leaving no trace of its existence. What malevolent force lies concealed within the Denver airport, awaiting the day it will be unleashed upon the unsuspecting world?
This was going viral yesterday. People in Fresno, California reported seeing these lights in the sky. Here's another picture of these lights in the sky. So I did some quick research and it's actually Venus and Jupiter really close together. So I can see how someone can mistake this as a UFO, but it's actually Jupiter and Venus. Fun fact, the closest that they're going to be together is today, March 2nd. So if you live near the area, go check it out.
The Battle of Los Angeles and a true story of the 1942 UFO incident over LA. It was a night unlike any other in the City of Angels. The year was 1942 and World War II was raging across the globe. The people of Los Angeles were on edge, and with good reason. The Japanese had already attacked Pearl Harbor just a few months prior, and there were rumors of an impending invasion across the California coast. But on the evening of February 24th, something much more mysterious and disturbing would grip the city. It began with a warning from naval intelligence, instructing units along the California coast to prepare for a potential Japanese attack. All remained calm for the next few hours, but as the night wore on, something else entirely began to unfold. It started with a series of strange flares and blinking lights, visible to the vicinity of the defense plants. The lights grew brighter and more intense, illuminating the darkened city streets. Suddenly, the air raid sirens began to blare, sending people into a frenzy of panic and confusion. Then, just as suddenly as they appeared, mysterious objects began to fill the night sky. The objects were large, silent, and seemingly impervious to the barrage of anti-aircraft fire unleashed upon them. The sky lit up with explosions as the objects moved across the city, leaving destruction in their wake. The people of Los Angeles were in shock. Was this the long-awaited Japanese attack, or was it something far more sinister? The true nature of the objects remained shrouded in mystery, but one thing was clear: they were not of this world. As the night wore on, the battle raged on with an unidentified flying objects moving south from Santa Monica to Long Beach. The anti-aircraft guns continued to fire, but it was like shooting at ghosts. The objects seemed to have an otherworldly ability to evade detection and destruction. Finally, after more than an hour of intense battle, the objects disappeared from sight, leaving the city in a state of shock and awe. The next day, the government would claim that the entire incident was a false alarm, a case of war nerves, and nothing more. But the people of Los Angeles knew better. To this day, the true nature of the Battle of Los Angeles remains a mystery. Was it an alien invasion, a secret government experiment gone wrong, or simply a figment of the collective imagination of the city on edge? Whatever the truth may be, the events of that fateful night continue to captivate and terrify those who dare to explore them. Some say that the object that appeared over Los Angeles that night were not of this world, that they were beings from another planet, here to observe or perhaps even conquer. Others believe that the objects were part of a secret government experiment, a new weapon of war that has gone horribly wrong. Whatever the truth may be, one thing is clear. The Battle of Los Angeles was a night unlike any other, a night that will go down in history as one of the greatest mysteries of our time. And as long as there are those who seek to uncover the truth, the mystery will continue to captivate and terrify those who dare to explore it. Be sure to follow for more stories like this.
These are movies to never watch, part 4.
This movie is called The Descent. Sarah, who is the main character, experiences severe emotional trauma. Anne goes to North Carolina to spend some time exploring caves with her friends. But after descending underground, they discover something truly horrifying. They find strange cave paintings and evidence of an earlier expedition. And they then learn they are not alone. Underground predators inhabit the caves and they have a taste for human flesh. This movie is extremely disturbing and is regarded as one of the most traumatizing horror movies ever. My first time watching this, I couldn't sleep for days.
The chilling tale of the Atlas Vampire, a dark, unsolved mystery. Tucked away in the depths of Stockholm, Sweden lies an unsolved horror that came to light in 1932. Its mystery had yet to be solved, leaving many with a chill running down their spine. The case of the Atlas Vampire is an unsettling, spine-tingling narrative that will leave you reflecting on humanity's darkest depths and speculating if otherworldly creatures roam among us. Prepare to embark on a journey through the shadows as we uncover the sinister details of this spine-tingling crime. And remember, when the darkness falls, you may want to keep the lights on. On May 4th, 1932, the lifeless body of 32-year-old prostitute Lily Lindroth was discovered in her small apartment in Atlas area of Stockholm near St. Eriksplan. Her naked corpse face down on the bed had been lying there for 2 to 3 days before the police broke into her apartment. Lily had suffered blunt force trauma to her head, but the most horrifying details was yet to be uncovered. The horrifying nature of the crime became apparent when it was discovered that almost all of Lily's blood had been drained from her body. The vicious assailant had left behind a grisly calling card, a blood-stained ladle, which authorities believe the killer had used to consume the victim's blood. This gruesome revelation earned the unknown perpetrator the chilling nickname, the Atlas Vampire. Police interviewed 9 of Lily's clients, desperately hoping for a lead that would help them identify her cold-blooded killer. Despite the efforts, none materialized, and the investigators were left with nothing but a chilling unsolved mystery. The Atlas Vampire had vanished, leaving no trace behind. Over the years, countless theories have emerged in an attempt to explain the baffling case of the Atlas Vampire. Some believe that a police officer was responsible for the brutal murder, using their knowledge of the crimes to cover their tracks. Others have speculated that the killer was a drifter, transiently passing through Stockholm, never to be found. And then there is the most chilling theory of all, that the Atlas Vampire was indeed a real vampire, a creature of the night that feasted upon the blood of its victims, a supernatural being that walked among us, blending into the shadows, leaving death and terror in its wake. The Atlas Vampire case remains one of the most disturbing and enigmatic unsolved mysteries. The horrifying murder of Lily Lindroth continues to baffle and captivate as the chilling specter of the Atlas Vampire continues to cast its shadow over the world.